Hey everybody, BMS here, and welcome back for more Castlevania 3. This time we're going to take the lower path in the middle of Stage 3 and check out the first stage of Alucard's path, the marsh area. First up, we're greeted with a pretty catchy little tune, and some frogs that jump out at you here. Now, if you leave them on screen long enough, these guys are going to shoot a fireball at you, so the best bet is just to keep moving forward. Other than having one jump straight out beneath you, these guys aren't a real big problem, unless you fall into the marsh. Then you're going to have to work a little bit. Now, the second area here, we're introduced to the Mudmen, which are a cakewalk to deal with by any stretch. You can also head left here for, I believe, some meat? But, I mean, it's really not worth it. You shouldn't be hurting badly enough at this point, and you'll more than likely take damage from the frogs if you try, so best just to skip it. Ah, great. Now we get to deal with the extremely fast bats. Also, don't sweat these Mudmen. As long as you stay on the moving platforms, they can't touch you. Just be a little careful with that last jump, as if you time it wrong, one of them can spawn just as you're jumping, and you won't be able to avoid it. Other than that, it's no big deal. Not even the small area where you actually need to enter the marsh. Just wait for them to spawn, ice their cake, and move forward. No problems. Now, this room on the second quest can give you fits without a sub-weapon, simply because those two ghosts. They move fast, and one spawns a second after the other one does, and has a nasty habit of ramming into you while you're dealing with the first. But still, I mean, compared to the skullheads, nothing you should really have to worry about in this room. Which, speaking of, that's one of the saving graces of Alucard's path. We're not going to have to deal with those little skull bastards until I think we get at least a few levels in here. So count your blessings with this game when you can. Now, this room can cause you fits because you're forced into a really tight area and have to deal with the bats. The second quest makes this even worse because they move so fast. Just take your time here and try to take them out one at a time. And with that short level, it's boss time, the Phantom Bat. Now, the gimmick of this guy is that every time you hit him, he'll freeze for a second and divide into two smaller halves. But if you time your whips just right, you could cheese this pretty hard, as you see. And, I mean, since that was such a short level, I figured I'd go ahead and throw in the next level as well. Stage 5, Alucard's Cave. First thing, we're met with some really creepy music. I mean, I really hate this little tune, but I guess it does kind of set the mood somewhat well, so I can deal. Anyway, we're also introduced to a few new enemies in this stage. Namely, these infinite spawning mummies. I hate these guys with a passion. I mean, they'll spawn on both sides of you and shoot out those little projectiles like the mummy boss from the first Castlevania. And I mean, while they're easy to kill, one whip will kill them, they constantly respawn. And I mean, pretty much it's best just to tank some damage and get the hell away from them if you have to. Also, a gimmick that this level uses is you can actually wait and let that... I'm gonna just guess that that's acid. You can let it dissolve those blocks and take the lower path here. In my opinion, I mean, it's not really worth it though. It takes so long to wait for the blocks to dissolve low enough to where you can actually get down there. And I think, at best, you're just rewarded with one extra life if memory serves. Not to mention, I mean, the lower path isn't really that much easier anyway. Not worth the wait at all. Another new enemy, these firewalkers. Basically do just that, actually. Walk back and forth and leave flames in their footsteps that last a couple of seconds. Basically just another time-consuming enemy because there's no real threat from these guys. The only thing they can do is leave a fire trail that you can't jump over and you have to wait for it to disappear. That's it. This section of the level is pretty easy and self-explanatory. Just watch these spikes moving up and down between the platforms and wait for the best time to jump over. Nothing to it. Also, for the record, these spikes that have the flat top on them, you can stand on that. Just be careful not to let it carry you all the way up, as you'll hit the screen border, and that will coincidentally kill you. Not a good way to go. Now, the other new enemy are these eyes that drop blood on us. If they're in a hard spot where you can't hit them, like in some later levels, they can be a real pest. But not so much on this stage. And it's boss time. Looks like the same coffin Dracula had in Castlevania 1. Oh my god, it's Dracula! And only in Stage 5! Wow, I mean, we're at the end boss already? Man. It looks like Dracula got a little pudgier in the 15th century than when Simon fought him. Oh well. I mean, he only has one attack, and that's those 3 fireballs he shoots out in your direction. Then he'll fly around and reappear wherever the bats land. Simple enough. And like most bosses, only his head is vulnerable. But, dare I say, not a problem. Anyway, after we beat him, he transforms normally, and we learn that this is actually Dracula's son, Alucard, and that he wants to join us. Second quest, however, this doesn't happen. Kinda makes me wonder why this is. I mean, it's never really explained why you couldn't take a partner with you on the second quest. Maybe it's just that Trevor was in such a bad mood that he told them all to fuck off. Well, that or something too gruesome to show on the camera here. Nah, who knows. Anyway, that wraps it up for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and next time we'll tackle Sypha's Stage 5, The Haunted Ship of Fools. Take care.